So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for enriching OSPAS 2023 with your gracious presence and enthusiastic participation. And I'm sure you will maintain the energy levels. We are starting late, but we assure you we will finish on time. Okay, it's been wonderful to see so many old industry mentors, friends, make some new ones today. We have leaders from overseas. I saw John Robert, I saw Percy Joki from Dubai. We saw Rakshit Mathur, a former banker. Sanjay, thank you for forecasting CEO as the rock star of the industry. Loved that, and loved your advice that expand your, knowledge of business as well as cyber. I also heard very useful advice from Gary. He said CEOs basically have got two jobs, plan well and manage your risks well. And if you do your training well, you'll be saved a lot of other risks. So Paul, on a lighter note, my company is looking for salesmen and and women. So obviously, I'm not sure if we can afford you. But so the topic assigned to us has already been read. It's pretty long, so I won't read it again. So it's something to do with security industry post-pandemic. So let me quickly introduce the panelists in no particular order. Sandeep, will start with you. Sandeep Sinha is the Director Risk Management and Managed Services. So put it simply, he manages 50% of P&L of MitKat Advisory, a distinguished colleague from military, commanded a frontline submarine, and he's led consulting assignments with about 30% of Fortune 100 companies across verticals in India and overseas. Vineet Sehgal, distinguished veteran, alumnus of NDA, MDI. I saw you have multiple masters in technology, weapon systems, human rights, God knows how all, disaster management. He's the country security manager for Shell. I'm sure everybody has heard of the Anglo-Dutch giant. I can see Gaurav nodding, the largest energy company in the world, the same Shell. When the prices go up of oil, they cross 100, then it becomes a Fortune 5 company. Otherwise, generally, it's in a Fortune 10 company. Before that, he used to be in Genpact, one of the large IT giants out of India, and he used to oversee 25 countries. We were in similar industry till a while back. He was CEO of a risk consulting company also. So he knows a lot. He's been on all sides. He's seen it from military. He's seen it from as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, as a CEO, and also with large companies, IT companies and energy. Ashish Chauhan, another distinguished veteran, over 2 decades of rich military, corporate, consulting and entrepreneurial experience with leading global organizations, ICICI, Mahindra, British Council. He now leads a rapidly growing consulting firm, Unisense Advisory. So this is how we'll progress the discussion, if it is fine with you. You get about 2 to 3 minutes for opening remarks. So 2 will be very good, and you will get applause from the audience. 3 is the maximum that I can tolerate. And then I will direct one specific question to you and maybe a small supplementary. Answers no more than 1 to 2 minutes. We've got about 35 minutes we were allocated. When I had a closer look at the fine print, I saw it was 25. We'll try to finish in 23. Okay. So at the end, each of you will get a 20 to 30 second for a sound bite. Audience question, I think, looks out, but we'll try one. Okay. So I will start with my 3 minutes, because when I became very nervous when I found all panelists dropping out, so I said, let me prepare my 2-3 minute script. So I prepared my 2-3 minute script. Okay. So I'll just give you my my thoughts on the industry in 3 minutes, because, some of you wanted that. So firstly, security takes the color of the industry and context that we are operating in. If you go to oil and gas industry guy, or, energy guy, for political correctness now, we have to greenwash our sins. So if you go to an energy guy, they will always talk about, fire is very, very important. Environmental protection is very, very important. Terrorism, because of its attractiveness, is very important. So they have those kind of things. If you go to retail and e-commerce, forever they're talking about loss prevention. They're talking about supply chain security. If you go to industrial setup, it's the union activities. In IT and banking, data security. So, I can see, MD of a big company nodding, yeah. So I think I'm on right lines. So if security takes the color, some place safety is important, some place loss prevention is important, some places cybersecurity is important. It is not a monolith. So when we talk about how is security doing, while guarding is the most visible, and in India the figures can vary widely. Some people say it is 3 million, some people say it is 30 million, some people say it is 700 million. So I don't know. So guarding is the most visible face, but there are security OEMs, there are security system integrators, they're of all sizes. There could be, very big ones from IBM and TCS and those kinds to much smaller ones, Then there are man guarding companies, consulting companies, there are specialist service providers, freelancers, and there are thought leaders like Professor Martin Gill and authors, and he's written 13 books. I hope you know that. So, firstly, security is not a monolith. It takes there are varying shades of security, and it takes the color of the industry. The second is, I just want to, if you allow me, I want to quote from some of what you spoke at one of our events, and you reiterated some of it today, looking at the eyes through looking at security through the eyes of a criminal. So, Martin, speaking just after the pandemic, said, the world is still disrupted by the impact of many events, including COVID. While the threat of further pandemic seems very real, the attitude seems to be, we are over COVID for now, and we'll worry about anything else when and if it happens. So that is the general attitude. Martin said that criminals depend on opportunities being created and security not being good. Where security is good, criminals are on the run. There are plenty of weak targets and criminals go after them. He said, if the security is good, the odds are in your favor. Get it right and there is a story to tell. Show some chinks in your armor. Criminals are quick to spot, adapt, react and spread the word. Martin said criminals have been assessing the changed context. They have not been put off and they see plenty of opportunities post-COVID. They feel the world of security is disrupted, people are complacent and new opportunities have emerged. Martin had re-emphasized that the very best, and he's been taking OSPAS throughout the world, and that had taught him that the very best in security around the world are truly outstanding. There are plenty of people and companies to emulate. The security world is universally not geared to face the challenges, but the outstanding ones truly are. And that is what this award function today is all about. So Martin Gill reiterated, outstanding leaders in security are very, very good. We need to emulate them. Remember, criminals are looking for weak links and they spot them very easily. I think Martin deserves a round of applause for all the great work that he's doing. And thirdly, and my last piece of yarn, and thereafter I'll go to the experts, that we are in a time of polycrisis and mutually reinforcing shocks. So, and this provides great opportunities for security and risk professionals because our CEOs are looking at us to, navigate us through the troubled times. There is cost of living crisis in Argentina. The inflation is over 100%. In Lebanon, the currency every day adds $10,000. So it's about 150,000 local currency to a dollar today. The currency has collapsed. There is Russia-Ukraine war. Supply chains are in disarray. Banks collapsed in US and one big bank had to be bailed out in Europe. There is decoupling. There is fundamental restructuring of security and energy architecture in Europe. There is geopolitical recession, natural disasters, extreme weather events, cyber threats, disinformation, societal polarization, tech layoffs, unemployment, protests, and I could go on. But today our focus will firmly be on security industry. It will be India and South Asia because we are a demographically rich, a digitally transforming region of immense promise, intense competition, and inherent fragility. So businesses operating in this region are prone to an array of risks, and there are plenty of opportunities for security and risk professionals. We are in a region, remember, of intense geopolitical rivalry where China wants to get in, US wants China out, and Russia wants to remain relevant. So that is it from my side. I will now let the experts do the talking. Sandeep, let me come to you first. So pandemic was a catalyst in many ways, and together, me and you from the same side, we have seen the security industry from up close. We didn't have the luxury to work from home. I mean, so for us, we worked tirelessly to facilitate work from home from everyone else. Pandemic also accelerated the pace of technology. So I saw two trends, and I want to pick up your brains on it. Firstly, we saw the demand for intel went up exponentially. The demand for timely, vetted, business relevant intel went up. And because intel helped business leaders to look beyond the horizon and around the corners and make good decisions. And finally, and second is that the demand for command centers went up. The companies which didn't have command centers, they created one. Those who had one in US and UK built another one in India. Those who had here, they improved the infrastructure, upskilled. So what are the trends, from a security expert's perspective, what are the trends that you're looking at and picking up? Quickly, and you have 2 minutes if you want to do well.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to the organizers. So I will begin by saying that, Yes, the transformation has been very, very stark, very, very evident. And the process of transformation of security will continue over the next couple of years. Now, let us see the security industry per se. And I'm going to be taking certain references from the previous speakers of the previous panels. So, globally, the industry is roughly around $250 billion. In India, I believe it has already exceeded 1.5 lakh crores, and it employs one of the largest number of people in this country as a line of employment. Can we stay the same way? No, we cannot, because the pandemic taught us a few things, two of which you already touched upon. One, security needs to look at itself as, expand the definition to risk, and risk always starts outside to inside. So one very clear trend that we have seen in the industry is that people want to know where are the risks and how far out are they right now before they get to my doorstep. Therefore, the requirement of threat intelligence analysts has really shot up. The salaries of very young threat intel analysts have, luckily also shot up. The requirement of near real-time analysis, not just information, has really gone up. And if you see the way GSOCs and all have started operating now, this leads you to believe that everyone wants to take a more predictive posture, not only a proactive posture. Gone are the days of the reactive posture. Security is not required to get in when fires have already burnt half the place down. So it is more predictive. Now, Rupal said during the previous session that the definition of the workplace has really changed, and from a few assets where all our employees worked, they suddenly became thousands of assets where a responsibility for security continued. Now, how do you manage the security of your company assets? It could be simple thing like your employee, it could be a laptop, or it could be the information that your employee is carrying to a holiday workplace to work from there. So all this can only be done through a command center. And if you see the trend of the command centers in India over the last 4 to 5 years, you will find that, as you very rightly categorize the industry, people who do not have command centers want command centers set up tomorrow. That is the kind of urgency. Companies that had very good GSOCs overseas want to create, as part of their BCP, a similar setup in India. Those command centers who were already up and running very well wanted to upskill and upgrade and train their teams so that they became more business relevant, more predictive, and therefore better protected the industry. So all in all, the transformation has been very rapid. It shall continue to be so. In terms of qualifications of people that are coming in, the desire of the industry is to get better and better people, and you will see that in your day-to-day work. The quality of people at a certain segment of security is really improving because the demand for quality of the output is very much there. So I think we are going to be more and more technology intensive. Aim is to be predictive, and that is where things like machine learning, understanding of AI and ML, everything comes into play. And you find very interestingly, even we happen to be training a conglomerate, their security teams which were deployed in various parts of India and Africa and Australia also. The single most common certification that physical security professionals are now trying to get is AI, ML, and data analysis and data visualizations, because they have realized that just talking about security in terms of guards, guns, and gates is no longer good to be relevant. You have to visualize and depict data and the outcomes and your recommendations in a manner that perhaps your CFO would be doing. So those are my 2 points, sir.
You're a good consultant, you can go on and on. So we have actually a leader sitting here. So one of the mega trends that I saw that so companies used to have, let's say, 10,000 guards or 1,000 guards. So they picked up, okay, these 5-6 jobs are specialized, a geopolitical analyst job or a command center or a shift lead or a key location head or, so these are kind of specialized jobs, and let's get more, either upskill on role workforce or get more specialized people for that. So, I mean, maybe if somebody wants to take it up in later, when we have time, so we'll come to it. Because it's good to always listen from horse's mouth so that it doesn't get lost on translation. Okay, so Vineet, come to you next. The future of security and technology is inseparable. So what major tech trends are you picking up? I mean, convergence is also a mega trend. We are hearing about, physical security, electronic security, IT security, IoT, cyber, info, whatever you call it. Everything is coming together. And India is also benefiting from China plus one and now Europe plus one. And then Make in India provides a lot of opportunities for defense security and all. So, I mean, there are a lot of points, so probably you can pick up your top 2-3 themes and do it in 2-3 minutes.
Yeah. So, post-pandemic, I think the biggest thing which came out is that, the security industry was looking at how to adapt to technology. I mean, we suddenly went from, looking at how we can get people inside our offices by being touchless and what have you. So, technology is, I think, pandemic has taught us that that's where we will be going, going forward. So technologies like, the first aspect was something like the biometric thing which came in. I mean, it would be your finger printing, it could be facial scanning, it could be iris, could be whatever that is. I mean, we were no longer looking at, making sure that the individual, I mean, we wanted to recognize the individual by some biological feature of that personality, so that
I can see you talking about iris a lot.
Yeah. So that's something which is clearly something which pandemic got us. Then, mobile supported technology, and especially in the field. Yeah, you're looking at that same guard who was deployed in the field. Now, how do we make sure that he also is adapting to how we are going to go forward from here and use the technology for his, we saw a huge uptick in, something like, guard tour systems and stuff like that, because you're looking at how we are going to track him in the field and how he is going to give us information. He's going to, send out his reporting, etc. by the use of technology. I feel the other part is that technology outsourcing is going to be the buzzword. I mean, none of us in the industry, we can do everything all by ourselves. So the area, I mean, businesses earlier said that, let's outsource our HR functions or the finance functions or this or that. I think from a technology leaders standpoint, as security leaders, we need to look at specialists. So be it maybe, from a monitoring standpoint or from a, standpoint of how do we look at, we have talked a lot since morning about command centers and so what have you. It's no use trying to, get everything that we need to do ourselves. Technology outsourcing is something here to come in, and we need to partner with the specialists who are there in the field, and they are willing to come forward and look at that. Then the next bit is, I think, the integration of the physical security and technology security. That's something which I think all of us need to really, as security leaders, as CSOs, etc., we need to pay a lot of attention to, because while we are dealing with people who are not really that well educated, but that's our workforce, and we need to look at how do we now integrate that physical security part with the technology. As Sandeep also said that the biggest course is AI and ML, and that's what we are. But that's at the managerial level, and at the level of our foot soldiers, we need to look at how do we start letting them upskill themselves so that they are able to give their best in while we are adapting technology in our security world. Lastly, I think we all talked about analytics. Analytics is going to be the key. I mean, we can put everything, all technological systems in place, but until unless we are able to utilize the data being generated out of that and analyze that data and make sure that, it actually, gives out certain powerful insights for the business. For us as security professionals to become business enablers, I think analytics is going to be the key thing for all of our security professionals, for us to imbibe and then make it a mantra for us as we grow.
Thank you, Vineet. That was very comprehensive. I think Sandeep and you have kind of got the nichode for all of us. So I think Ashish, I'll take a completely separate one: sustainability. I think it's a key trend. It's a mega trend of our times. So can you focus your opening remarks more on sustainability and professionalism in the industry? 7 minutes more total.
Yeah, thanks a lot, sir. First of all, Guru had already given the gyan. हम तो fill in the blanks हैं. But still, to start with, first of all, I think we need to understand that what do we want to achieve when we say sustainability. Sustainability, in my view, is to achieve a brighter future for the humankind. And from the security perspective, it is to make the future of the humankind more secure. Now, how do we do that? I know that since morning we have been talking about technology, and there is so much which we have been speaking. There are two things I want to add. The security does not restrict only at the word security or the term security. It goes to risk management, and I would say it goes much beyond than that, which is assurance. Because the first answer which you need to answer to your board, to the society, is, are we secure? Is there any incident which is going to happen? And that is not going to happen by the John Rambo approach. We have to go much beyond than that. When I look at how do we achieve that, there are 3 or 4 areas which come to my mind. First is, which we have been talking since morning, that we need to be aware of the threat environment. And we know that it is constantly evolving. There are constant threats which are coming from all directions. It is multi-directional. The second thing is the opportunity existence. As an industry, are we there only to provide the manpower, or we can do much better in order to make the society better place to live in? And those opportunities are existing. Like, for example, Major Manjeet was mentioning that now airport has moved from the law enforcement agencies to the private security agencies. Likewise, I think in one of the panelists was mentioning about FIRs. Why not private security guards can take the role and ease the burden of the law enforcement agencies? Likewise, there are n number of opportunities. If as an industry we start finding out that what are these opportunities, then as an industry, we will make ourselves sustainable. Sure. Third thing which we have been speaking about is the evolving technology. All of us are on the smartphones. All of us are using smart technologies in our day-to-day life. And if we as security professionals do not get adapted to this fact, and we make ourselves trained to take care of the threats associated with this evolving technology, we'll be left behind. And the fourth one is the changing regulations. Every country is coming up with variety of regulations. We need to be conscious of that as well.
Thank you. So thank you. I think that Sandeep, I'll probably take it on from here only, and 1 minute each in the next round for each one of you. So, I mean, security took on varying critical roles during the pandemic. Do you see any new other role in the post-pandemic era for security to be sustainable? Is security as a function well placed to significantly contribute to sustainability and ESG initiatives of let's say, any large company, and then thereby helping the business?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I think by virtue of the reach that the security industry has through its, 12 million people in India itself, I think as a single function, we are best placed to address the sustainability initiatives of any company. Let's be a little more specific here. So if I were to train the least qualified guards, which are the maximum number, and I were to also upskill the entire workforce that I have, they could be postgraduates, doctorates, or uneducated guards. I am easily addressing UN SDGs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 11, and 17. Right now, if you tell the same thing to a CFO of a company who is now going to be mandated to have his financial reporting standards comprising of sustainability also, all these ticks that we put as a security function will drastically raise the sustainability scores and metrics of our company, thereby improving our ROI. And there is a lot of research on this, that companies that are following more sustainable practices have got a greater ROI, greater growth, and greater business. So I think single function security is best placed to take on the sustainability initiative of any company.
So Vineet, I would have come to you, but I think Sanjay seems better to quickly kind of, if you can just take 1 minute to any new initiatives being taken, just to make the security at the cutting edge sharper.
I think it's an interesting question. Thank you for providing this opportunity to talk to the team here again. So we've taken a couple of initiatives, and we've totally transformed our org structure firstly. So if you stick with traditional org structures, chances are that you will not flow with the business growth. And you have to, so we've created 4 centers of excellence. One is around geopolitical risk and intelligence. Second is about physical security systems and technology. Third is about, because we are a customer-led organization, so it's about audits and compliance. And the fourth is about the security program governance, where we want to see the maturity of the security program. And then, of course, there are operational teams which look at procedural and policy level implementation of security. That's one. Second change that we have done is...
Sanjay, we have 30 seconds left.
Yeah,
so you'll have
second change that we have done is we've segregated critical and routine. So we moved out critical services from routine guarding contracts onto specialized service. So our control rooms, shift managers, geopolitics people, they are all transformed onto a risk consulting company rather than come from a guard company, because the capability difference is there. And we realize that guards are not trained to handle modern technology, and there is always a challenge. So those 2 big changes that we have done.
So thank you very much. I think we'll have a quick 20-second soundbite from each one of you, and then I'll just take my 30 seconds for closing remarks.
Security will continue to be transformed and more towards sustainability in order to remain a sustainable line of business.
I feel that, with a lot of stuff moving into technological side, there is a need to upskill our resources. We're really lacking there, and I think we need to really speed it up, get the best minds here, train them well, and integrate them into our systems, because that's the way you will start finding a seat in that room or seat on that table or whatever we have. Until unless we do that, we'll not be really up there where we should be.
My comment would be specific to the guarding industry. I think it should be the process oriented, and that process should be digitalized, and that is the need of the hour. And second, larger security industry, it is required to have an effective maturity model. We were talking about minimum security standards, but I think we need to have a maturity model altogether so that we progress further, not only restrict ourselves to minimum security standard.
So thank you very much. So very quickly, my last bit. As per World Economic Forum, the 7 major risks are cost of living crisis, natural disasters and extreme weather events, geo-economic confrontation, societal polarization, cybersecurity, natural resource crisis, large-scale involuntary immigration. We will have to prepare for these and for the continuously innovating bad guys who can identify the weak link quickly and spread the word, as Martin said. Future of technology and security is inseparable. Digitally advanced and tech-savvy company will report better bottom lines and top lines. DEI and ESG are no longer good to have. They have to be integral to who we are. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you, from 3500 BC to 1700 AD, for 50 to 100 years, India was a quarter of global GDP. So 200-300 years is a small time in the history of a nation. So flattening of the world, the demographic dividend, the new Josh, the fire in your eyes and in your belly that I see, and the determination. So that gives me a great confidence that we are in safe hands. So thank you, esteemed panelists, Sandeep, Vineet, and Ashish, and a huge round of applause to the wonderful audience. And thank you, Aspas and Businessworld. I will take my last 10 seconds to quote again from Martin. Your advice to security and risk professional: understand your business, the geopolitical and environmental risk, but crucially, go back to the basics and do the essentials brilliantly. So wishing you all the very best and have a wonderful evening. We have finished ahead of time. So thank you very much.